What's up, Rockstars? I have a brand new prototype of a game I'm wanting to look at. This looks really, really cool. There's a little bit of a story behind it. I'm going to be sharing quite a bit of information about it, but for now, let's look at this. Now, one cool thing about this, the reason the box is as big as it is because this also has the miniatures as well. This is like the one, I forget exactly what step it is, but it's one of the processes into like getting the actual miniature made in, like, you know, the injection mold plastic kind of thing, right? So they're still working on them, but that being said, I believe they are fairly final. I haven't heard of any feedback they have on these latest ones, so it should be a very good approximation of the miniatures, at least when it comes to like the overall design and stuff like that, right? The design can change sometimes depending on if they need to like change the sculpt to mold it, but they're already past that point now, so there shouldn't really be any design changes at all. I guess I gotta cut the top of it too. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited to see that. Definitely putting some money into this. I've seen all sorts of little things they've done. They've talked to me about a few of the other things that they're doing, but this is definitely well on its way, which is cool to see. This game, I can't remember if they ran a campaign or started to. I believe they started to and then canceled it, right? And now they're doing this, which is like a more streamlined version. And now that it's fairly streamlined now, I'm like, I'm kind of interested now, right? So I got to see what that's all about. But yeah, definitely like the second iteration. They do have that first game like posted online somewhere, so that's kind of cool. So you can actually just like play it for free if you really wanted to, but this is more board gaming, if that makes sense, a little bit less RPG like. And I'm going to make a mess. Alright, so don't fret about this. Really, this is images from the factory of the miniatures, right? There's other miniatures here, but these I'm not going to show, so sorry about that. I will look at those and speak to them perhaps at a later date. But in here, I'm having to change how I'm positioned here. Should be quite a bit of stuff, as you can see. Yeah. So I think they're all going to be in this. Yeah. So that's fun. This is honestly, I've received miniatures in a box like this before. like final miniatures even, right? A lot of times they'll sell them in these boxes with that. So that's kind of funny. All right. See. Alright, I don't know if there's gonna be any pins in that one. Wouldn't that be something funny if that like became a thing? Just to get pins. One box there. Whole bunch of stuff in here. It's a pretty sizable game is my understanding. I guess, you know, sizable these days, a bit different than what it used to be. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm trying not to make a mess. I really am. You guys have no idea how crappy cleanup can be. There we go. Oh no, one fell. Oh, wow, that's heavy. Oh, that's like all cardboard and junk. Oh, I hit the camera with that one. Alright, let's go digging. Anything else? I don't think so. I think that is it. If I find something after filming, I'll edit it back in. Whew. Alright, so there's that box. Oh, this is really heavy, guys. That's like all cardboard. Alright, let's see, we got some dice. Got some minis. More peanuts, or some other minis. Alright, let's zoom in a little bit, change the camera angle, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, we're going to start with the main game components. We'll end on the miniatures because I tend to obsess and show this at great detail. Obviously, if you haven't seen my unboxings before, it's not really an unboxing in the same way. If you just wanted to see the content, you can just look at pictures, right? Instead, I'm doing some commentary. I'm doing it's almost like a component review. I know that's weird to say with a prototype, but I have worked with enough prototypes, i.e. a lot, to kind of understand a lot of the manufacturing process, a lot of what goes into it, a lot of where they are or where they need to be. And I'll actually comment about that too. So if I'm like, oh, I think this needs to be changed before it's finally cast, or, you know, like I can do all of that. In fact, it's a great time to get feedback like that, right? to the point where I've even worked with companies to do that, right? So like, oh, hey, by the way, this is printing a little dark. Very common for a prototype, but it's something to note as well. Make sure that contrast is up there, right? Just little things like that can actually really help. So yeah, it should be a pretty good unboxing. I'm kind of excited to see that. Now, again, this is in a weird spot because it has like already been to campaign before, so it's actually like farther along component wise than a lot of the stuff. Now they did receive a lot of feedback, and my understanding is they implemented a lot of that. The first version of this game wasn't really something that interested me. Like it interests me, but not in the way of like, oh, I want to play that. It's more like, oh, that's really cool, and I like the idea of it. It's a much more kind of RPG like. And my understanding is this is actually still quite heavy with like the story and whatnot, which is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, so it should be pretty neat there. The only other thing I'll mention is that you will see some similarities in the art style to something like Storm Thunder, to Lazy Squire Games, right? To Out of Center, whatever. Now, that being said, that's because it just shares an artist, though that being, it is questioned like how attached they are to that, right? I'm not going to necessarily dive into that. What I will say is a longtime patron and one of the like really good Prevalent ones, very big part of the channel, and somebody that I have a lot of respect for, actually reached out to them and were like, hey, I'll handle all the finances, right? To where like, yeah, it looks to be a lot more of a safer bet than actually most Kickstarters now. It's kind of funny to go from the I don't know to the, oh, okay, it'll probably be all right then, right? But anyway, yeah, he's the one that'll like, you know, put funds to manufacturing and all that kind of stuff so that the game actually gets made. I think that's pretty cool. I'm really happy for him. I'm glad he's taken an investment like that. So I feel confident sharing that because of this. So just as an FYI, you will see some similarities to the honestly great art style that Lazy Square Games had. However, they are not even like, they won't even have access. The guy won't even have access to like the funds. It's really just to make the game. So anyway, it looks really cool, and obviously they put a lot of effort into the front end of this. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, I guess I'll speak right now. This will obviously probably be on like a normal box. This is probably the main art, right? And there is some interesting things, and I don't know exactly if it's a print or what. So it is one of those things where some things are sharp and focused, some things are not, right? You can see the difference between these two already, right? In fact, let me zoom in a little bit because I want to be pointing out some details, and then I'll talk about the grand scheme of things, right? So, you know, see, soft focus, you know, a much closer, right? And it's really there to like draw your eye, so like crisp yet blurry, right? Crisp yet blurry, right? So it's like a style that they do to really draw the attention to the definition of what they want, which is cool. I like that. I think that's neat. One of the interesting things, and again, I don't know if it's because it's on this box. I suspect, right? But do you see some of these like lines? I think that's from the print, and maybe it's not coming up on camera, but I can see these lines. But if you look at the box, you see the same lines there, right? So some of it's just, it's a sticker on a flat surface. There's actually some texture here, right? That being said, there's some that's a little bit more. So like this, for instance, I don't know what exactly is going on here to do that, but I'm not a fan of whatever is going there. And again, it may be a print thing, I'm not sure, but I kind of suspect not, because it almost looks like, obviously this is digitally created, right? Do you see like the hard line here? Do you see how there's like soft to not soft? To like this weird kind of hash texture, and you see that even up here, right? And I don't know if it's like some weird alpha layer or a weird brush stroke. I'm not sure. You can see right here as well, right? But I'm not a fan of that. If you took just that out, I think I would be a huge fan of pretty much the entire thing. Now, zooming back out a little bit, this is kind of cool because it's a take that I'm not used to seeing. So this is a one person against many enemies, right? Which is a very common thing. What is kind of cool, though, is that they're so far distance inside of like a larger thing. Sorry. And often when you see one versus many, often they're like coming out of the sides and stuff like that, which is cool. I like that. But this one's not. Instead, the backdrop is this kind of like theme setting, and then you have the conflict right here. I love the kind of not so much blue, but blue-ish, right? Especially with some of these like in between red and blue, kind of purplish things, and then going to the red here with again some more of the purple to kind of tie it all in. So overall, I think that's very, very cool. I do also like the similarities between the ribbons and the like root tentacle things, right? I think that's kind of neat that they're both kind of flowing, and I don't know, I see a lot of similarity though. So overall, very cool. Obviously, very striking logo. I actually really like the logo. The name Bloodwork is kind of cool because it's got blood in it, so of course it's cool. I don't know about the work. I don't know what that's going to be. Some kind of theme probably about like an art of like using the blood or something like that, right? But we're gonna open that up. Had to move it off of the camera. And oh, look, we already got some minis. I'll be taking a look at those. But again, at the end, and I think there's plenty more really cool, much larger ones, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead. Oh, where to begin? Where to begin? I guess we'll just dig in. So here are some overlay tiles by the looks of it. So that's kind of interesting that you can customize it like that. Obviously, this is a prototype, so it's not the final cardboard. Obviously, it's like a very shiny sticker, super reflective. Probably not going to be that case at the end. Very smooth. You can wipe this thing down, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But anyway, these are neat. They are doing the lighting, I think, quite well. I love the lighting at the door, so it draws attention to the door. There's not really a light source there, but it's fine. You can kind of see it coming in a little bit of the outside, and then dark in the corner. I think that's kind of neat. And again, you have the kind of light and dark separation here as well, which again, kind of nice. All right. Now we do have some characters here. In this case, this is like their main. It's like 3 different pieces, right? So it's this, and that. So we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Let's go and take a look at them though. All right, so I will say the double-sidedness of this actually really cool. Look, it's got like a wood finish. That's interesting. I don't know if they're gonna do that in the final one, but it's like textured and everything. That's actually really, really cool. I dig that. It looks like a card might go here. It'll be interesting to see if putting pegs in here with a card underneath like dings or marks the card. I imagine as people are shoving this in, if it's not careful and it is too long, that could happen. It'll be something I'll be taking a look at when I actually get some time with this. All right, so we have what, health, defense. I haven't read the rule book or anything like that, so I'm just, which I do kind of on purpose, right? This is a blind look in, but it allows me to see how obvious are the symbols, right, or the mechanics, something like that. So I actually really enjoy doing that when I can. But let's see, health, defense, and movement. I don't know what this is. It's all the same symbol in the people, but something goes there as well. Then you have like the name, the species that they are, and then the class that they are. And then some reminders. So medium, if she has medium armor, flanking 1, slame immunity, and energy 1, gain 1d4 energy on activation. So some random energy gains there as well. And this has labels here, so might, agility, wit, faith, and luck. Now, I will say of these symbols, let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. There you go. You can probably see what I'm looking at now. Sorry to make you squint. Some of these more obvious than others. Luck, totally fine. Faith, I think that's actually okay too. Wit, I would not have guessed that being wit. Agility, I can kind of see it with the sharp angles there, but yeah, it's nothing I would have guessed. And honestly, I don't know why it's red either. That's kind of interesting. Some are red on others, so it must be something to do with an Ivanara. By the way, the font there really cool. I like the A's. That's super neat. And then, well, I guess, I don't know, maybe I don't, because it's like capital, lowercase, lowercase, capital, lowercase, which is a little odd too, but whatever. And then might, I actually thought, and I'm not going to lie here, this was a helmet. I thought this was like a plated helmet, but it's actually a fist, which I think a fist for might works very well. I would not have actually originally thought this being a might, or a fist. I can see it now, but at the beginning I thought that was like, the visor to see through and stuff. So yeah, I actually thought that was a helmet. Kind of funny. Looks like there are some things here. It's interesting because it looks like you gain stuff as you probably pass them, is my guess, which is why none are at the end. And I don't know, what's this movement, right? That's the same thing there. I don't know what that does. That's defense. Maybe an attack of some, I don't know what all of these are. So there's some symbols I don't get. But okay, so that's still really cool. All right, here is Habjorn, human warrior. And then he has heavy armor, fury, switch weapon, gain 2 fury on each successful attack when not using skills. For him, his might is red, and he has the symbols in the same location, but they are... nope, a little bit different, right? So he gains a one there, and it looks like he probably starts with an extra one there. Oh, you know what? The red goes with whichever one they're starting out at. Well, no, because luck's there too, so... Yeah, I'm not sure. There is a value here, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 2, 2, 3. So I don't know how high the number goes, or it kind of, that typically tells you how impactful a 2 versus a 3 is, right? If it goes to 5, that's more impactful than if it goes to 10. Then here's Saren, the elf archer, and then of course new values here, all that here, agility red there. Now I will say again on the art, I actually really like this. I love the lighting on them so far. I think that's really cool. It's kind of like a backdrop. I think they definitely look like there's a light. Well, no, because I guess he's darker there, so it's really just hers the light background. He doesn't pop quite as much. Still a good highlight, especially on the like very edge of that, right? That kind of white line there, I think really helps. I love his horned helmet. I think that's super cool. So yeah, overall very neat. Then there's Mary, the fairy mage. Wit is her top one. And again, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. So much stronger in some things, while much lower in others. That's very interesting. Also kind of interesting, a fairy is low in faith. It must not be for like the druids or something, right? But yeah, anyway, very cool there. And again, a symbol's way different there. And then there's Maeve, whatever. The Fey cleric. Love the swords. The orange and green is very cool. I like the difference there. I think that's super neat. A lot of them look like they're about in the same area. Like the background, the little hint of a background that you get, looks to be kind of similar vibes. Which honestly, I don't know, it helps to fit. And that's just a very... Oh, looks like they had something glued on there at one point. Very cool little piece there. All right, now they have... And I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but they do have these as well. It's some kind of like health tracker by the looks of it. And there's quite a few here. And again, it has a little wood on the end. I kind of dig that. And I don't remember if it goes like that or what, but there's definitely one there. Oh, of interesting note here. Oh, very... You know, those pegboards might not go all the way through because there's actually some overlap. Do you see that in the holes? There's some overlap where this is actually over that. We'll see. We'll see if that's just a mess up in the prototype or if that's a design choice. Kind of interesting. In quite a few of these. Then they have these. One thing I do like is that they do have more generic stuff within the customized potion just being this. Companies are getting pretty smart to not like print a huge thing when only a little bit is different. So I do kind of appreciate that. All right, so we got leader, we got relic, and again, I don't know if this must be some... Oh, wait. No, there's different here. Here's a grunt. Here's an ally. Okay, all right. Well, let's take a look at some of these. Okay, so this is obviously some kind of bad guy here. Got a little defense token here. Got some kind of like probably mana-like spell thing here. Their health thing is integrated here. They can hold a relic. And then there's different like equipment spots by the looks of it. Kind of interesting. Then there is the grunt. Whoa. Okay. All right. Here's the grunt. There we go. And yeah, just making sure. Okay. Their health here, their equipment here, and they just have... It's much more simplified, right? It's pretty much cutting out the relic part of it, which is really the difference there. And then you have ally, very big card, probably a lot of information there. I don't know what these do or what these do. And it looks like there's like equipment. I don't know. It might line up to something on the card. All right. Oh, this is kind of interesting too. There's a 4 here. So they are numbered in case you have multiple. All right, here's 3. And we have more grunts. More grunts, lots of allies. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, well, we'll move that for a second. Okay, here is your character board. Finally got there. So let's move some of this out of the way. Okay, well, I'm assuming. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. Here's your equipment: head, body, arms, legs, accessories. You have attack 1, 2, and 3, and then you have different tiers of tier 1 and tier 2 for each of those attacks, right? So I'm reading it kind of like a table. 3 things of inventory, 1 larger, 2 smaller. You have abilities 1 through 5 here, which are separate from your attacks of 1 through 3. It looks like you have some things here like a weapon and a shield, perhaps, which I don't know if there's, like, these are maybe gauntlets and then your weapon and shield, something like that, perhaps. And again, numbered here, so you can kind of remember whose is whose, I suppose. Now, I don't know why this is there, but I think this probably goes in kind of like that. And I think that's mostly your board there, which is pretty neat. I kind of dig that. Again, I don't know exactly why these are separate. I don't know if you can have a set. I don't know what's going on there. I doubt it's a second one, but we'll find out. I'll let you guys know. All right, so there's that. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I dig it. It'll probably look even cooler with like actual. Oh, this is like 3D printed storage here. That's kind of fun. Yeah, this is 3D printed too. Oh, that's fun. Okay, with the cards and stuff there, so that might be kind of neat. All right. Stay slightly organized here. Slightly. Okay, then we got some paper and then some map tiles there. So I'm going to take these out. I'll just try to remember how they go, because I want to look at the map tiles before we get into too much more. Okay, just protective paper. All right, so it is a basic kind of square map here with a basic grid. I will say the grid, it's right in the middle. It might be I don't know. It's hard. So I think it sacrifices a bit of the visuals for it being very obvious. The fact that the spaces are separated is very interesting versus just a single line. I wonder if just going single line might help slightly. It's fine, but I will say that while I can see the overall picture, I definitely notice the lines. They don't like become invisible to me. So it's a little bit more on the play side than the use side, or on the visual side, which is fine. Same here, though. Actually, I don't know. So when it's lighter like this, perhaps it goes away a little bit more, I would say, than when it's dark, right? Like I see these easier than I see these. And so if it was just a single line, maybe that'd be kind of hard to notice. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah. I mean, there are some companies that'll just do a much wider line, but just do the little pluses, right? Like there's different ways of doing it. I'd have to play around and kind of see. And also this is a reflective surface, not quite final. So, yeah, it's fine, but it is certainly noticeable, but it should be easy to play. So it looks like here I have kind of 2 main areas. What is interesting here is the similarities, in that, like, this shield and this shield look very close, but not quite the same, right? But they do look, are they the same? They might actually be. So what I'm looking at here, again, when you get digital assets, this is what I always try to look at, right? How much is like that or not. There's like a little white splotch here, and there's also a little white splotch here, right? In fact, let me here. I want to zoom in just to compare. We're doing an experiment here, guys. All right. So lighting in the upper right is certainly there. Now I will say, no, this is still different, but it's very, very similar. And what I mean by that is, like, you see these like lines here, those are there too. That must be part of the design, but the lighting here is much different. So it is kind of interesting. They both have a little white spot here. It's almost like 2 versions of the exact same thing, which, I mean, I guess is kind of the whole point, but but like if you look at this one looks quite different, I feel, compared to the other ones. But anyway, they're different. Case closed. I don't know why I'm putting this up. I need this. All right. The very soft focus sword is kind of interesting. It looks like it's in water. That's kind of neat, with like barely the hilt hanging out of it. I actually really dig that. I don't know exactly what some of this is besides generic, like, kind of moss grass looking stuff. Like, is that a root? I don't know. I think it all kind of blends in. Looks fine. Looks fine. All right, and then on the other side, we're definitely like putting the swords in water. That is a theme here. So this looks like it's water here, and I think that sells it fairly well. I would have liked maybe a slightly more... Oh, I'm too zoomed in. A slightly more like difference in color. I think from farther away, it almost looks better than up close, right? Because I think you can see the like stream here, and then kind of like over here, right? But just a slightly more saturated look, I think would have been great to that. But still fine. We have like wisps, like Final Fantasy X stuff going on here. That's like their souls. And again, you do have that like hard focus to soft focus. I've never been a huge fan of that. It's certainly a design choice. One thing I will say is the transition between the two a little abrupt for me, right? It goes from quite crisp to very soft, within a moment, right? And maybe a bit more gradual would help a little bit. Still, I mean, overall, it's a design choice. It's a style. They don't have to appease just me, of course. You see some of the stronger brush strokes up here. Kind of cool to see that. And then, yeah, I like the depth that this seems to make. I think that's really cool here. I don't know how sold I am about the water being right here, flowing what almost looks like out. Except maybe this is another water flow. Again, kind of hard to tell. It's more of a vibe. It's a vibe, guys. yeah, because here, is this still underwater then too? I thought this was like not underwater, but maybe it is. I don't know, man. There's stuff going on there. All right, let's actually, I like the light versus dark. Very, very cool. That actually looks really neat. The axe may be a little too centered on that for my taste. Looks a little framed, but again, the height differences here, very cool. I don't think that's gameplay related at all. I think it's literally just a style. All right, so looked at that one. All right, yeah, see, we got more. This is like veins of magic underneath the surface. I actually really dig that. That's super cool. Super neat. Okay. Yeah, looking good. Probably upside down. Probably goes like that. Yeah. Very neat. The angle is, like it'll kind of splay out a little bit because you're looking at kind of a bird's eye view of everything. But so see, this probably goes like that. This is neat. Oh, this looks like a freaking... Is this a thing? Or is it just... I think it's just a log, but it looks sus. That's all I'm saying. All right. Well, there's the map tiles. All right. Let's see. Do we want to look at what's in some of these? So this is kind of fun. This is 3D printed, which is really cool. You can kind of see the layers a little bit, but it's actually a really good 3D print. It's not bad at all. But I like it. They kept it black, but if you dry brush this, it actually will look fantastic. So that's kind of cool. I dig that. Oh, it looks like there's like little tokens and stuff. So this is one of those more token... Well, no, because I know they have cards too. So a little bit of both. But custom shape, which I also really dig. There we go. Had to focus. Illusion Brew, defense +3. That's kind of neat. So you kind of phase out. I don't know if they're all... Looks like they're all that. So looks like a generic shape for all of them. There's this. Second Wind, action +1. Very neat. I might actually pick this up so it stays in focus a little bit easier. I love the art. This actually looks really good, really crisp too. Spiked Skin, Thorns +2. I'm getting like freaking... I've been playing Path of Exile lately, guys. They have a really good season with Mirage here. And the Thorns remind me of Path of Exile. Life Elixir, HP +5. Throwing Knife, 1 TD, range 3. I don't know what TD stands for necessarily. Magma Bomb, 2 TD, burn AoE 2x2 area. Very cool. So yeah, these are kind of neat. Then we also have some gems of some kind. If it was Path of Exile, it'll be jewels. And then a little tiny guy here, just a Centauri. Again, I don't know exactly why that's there. You probably placed it on the map. Very cool. That's a neat little 3D print. I like it. That's neat. I see. It's probably just more in these two. Yeah. So quite a bit more. So this is like different statuses, right? So you have well fed, you have break, these are different different shapes. Defense up, stealth, morale. Neat. Neat. Okay. And then the final one here. Is that just more? Did I pick the wrong? I might have picked the wrong. Hold please. Let's try this one. Hey, there we go. Status effects: slow, poisoned. What is that? Fragile. What is this? Fatigue, bleed, disarm, knockdown, burn. I like it. Those are cool. Those are super neat. I dig it. Okay, for now I'm just gonna put that there. All right. So it looks like we got some small cards here. Let's go and take a look at those. And that's just spacing there. Because in here, obviously they might still fall. There we go. There's some little dice here. I'm not going to go and take them out. They're obviously prototype. They're just stickers on these. The size-wise, though, I actually really like smaller dice like this. When I play like Warhammer, I have even smaller dice than this, but so they take up less space. The color seems good. They go from white to white with an outline to black, depending on if it's black, gray, or white on the background from the number. So designed really well, as far as I can tell. Like that. That passes my sniff test. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, even more tokens. Lots of tokens. These are pretty thick tokens, by the way. Again, it's a prototype, so I don't know if it's going to be a lot thinner, but at least the thickness-wise, I do like it. This is like a bear trap. What was that? Like agility and... I'm failing the test. That's not faith. Willpower, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of neat. I don't know if that's a test to get out of it or not, but there's a few of those. There's, it looks like a standee of some kind would be there, but I don't know exactly what yet. I don't see anything here. We got, oh, probably this. Okay. Oh, that's a little fun. I dig that. We got a token for a person here for some reason. We got, oh, that's probably, maybe goes, oh yeah, those are cool. We got some like magic flaming skulls. So it's a little bit of a fit. Aha, that's why they actually are different sizes. So there's the flaming skull. I dig that. Super cool art. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So put those back in. Yeah, I don't know. I like the little bit of the 3D there, right, with the little standees like that. It certainly beats just a token. And yet it's not like it's like huge or anything big. It's not the majority of the things you're looking at or standees. So I think standees can definitely have a place there, even if it's just to, you know, be a little bit more noticeable. Make the board a little bit less flat, right? That's kind of neat. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the cards. Now, I'm not going to comment on all of them. Again, that'd be way too long. But I'll look at some of them and just kind of speak my mind. This is going to be an offload of thoughts here. Let's split it in half here. Half-ish. Okay. All right. Everybody's favorite, a flayed whip. That almost looks like distance to me. How many dice you roll, and then I don't know exactly what that one would be. Could be a couple things. Does have a little key here. They are numbered. That's nice. You can kind of tell if you have them all. And then what it is. This is a weapon. I think it matches. Yes, it does. If I come back over here, the weapon symbol there. Okay. A cursed toy. Let's see. This is offense +1 on critical. This is free action. Take 1 true damage and deal 2 true damage to an adjacent enemy. So you can hurt yourself to hurt others. And this has a different symbol there. The huge sword here doesn't have as much of these, but does have more. Maybe that's damage. 2 damage versus 5 damage. So you gotta be closer. You're only rolling 1 die, but if it hits, it hurts. And then it looks like maybe an accuracy +1 kind of thing there. Necklace of Many Eyes, everybody's favorite. You get blood vision 4. Why not? A blood omen, heal 2 on death of an enemy. Now I will say, this is like on the shield or offhand slot. I'm seeing a lot of blood, which I think fits quite well for Bloodwork. Sacred Relic, start of round, heal self for 1 and gain 1 fatigue, and you can't move as much. So Watcher's Dagger, deal double damage if you hit the body. So you can hit different parts of people, it sounds like. It's kind of interesting. Just some defense, just something to do attack. I will say there's a lot of art here. It looks like, as far as I can tell, they're all 2 defense there. Oh, and look, this has like a person's name on it. I wonder if it starts like that with them, or if it just lists who can use what. Kind of interesting. Oh yeah, see here, look, limited use. Yeah, it looks great though. All these look very, very nice. So there's a lot of different options here. Different rarities, perhaps. Maybe that's what I'm looking at there. All right, so it looks to me like none of these are repeated, and there's a ton of different ones here. I love the theme. I love the style from the background, the crisp look of the art. Multiple copper braces. So there are some repeats. That being said, it doesn't like it's too much. It looks like some of the generic stuff there is. Vampiric Clasp. Hood of Shadows. Gain stealth on receiving 6. Oh, so if you get like hit, you just like go stealth instantly. That's kind of neat. Honestly, it looks like a lot of these, there's not a whole lot of text, but there's enough here to where I imagine building a character is a lot of fun. I love that. These fire arrows inflicts burn. Acquire, kill the leader while having burn. So it looks like maybe you can earn some of the. Oh yeah, see, it's like a boss thing or something like that. A flail with cleave 3. Dear Lord, that's scary. Yeah, that's super. Here, see, here's another one, and it's named Karakrak's breastplate. Immune to critical hits. Acquire, kill the leader with 3 successful hits. So yeah, that's kind of neat that you can gain different things from them. Lucky left hand. If defense dice is 1 or 2, reroll once. Acquire, kill the leader while his defense is below 5. So yeah, a lot of very neat stuff there. I love the loot of the enemies. That's super neat. Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm loving the theme, and from what I can tell, the style of the game. You can see those kind of RPG roots a little bit by just having a very, very thorough way of like making your character, right? Okay, so these look like more items, like you can have heads. I don't know if that's what it's worth or what it costs to buy or what's going on with that. Quantity, I'm not sure. See, 3 silk, gold 10, that's more than 10, but whatever. Heads 3 versus heads 10. Yeah, so there's different quantities of each one. Uh-oh. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Corruption. Oh, so that's a corruption is what that standee was. Then you can just have some gold, iron, animal bits. Okay, so there's that. Now we're onto this, and I see there's quite a few of these. Okay. All right. See, this must be what you're hitting, right? The head or the body. Arms or the head, all right? Legs or arms, gain offense up against that. Body, inflict defense down. Inflict slow. So there's 3 different things here, and it kind of depends on what you. Oh, interesting. Is that like a double body shot? Is that what that is? I don't know. Tactics, whatever the heck that is. Well, that's kind of neat. I dig that. All right. Now we got some injuries you can have, like a heavy injury. All tests have -2. I hate freaking skill tests in games, but whatever. Accuracy -1. All tests have -2. Minor injury, max health -3. Man, some of these minor injuries are... I'd be crying like a baby. Medium injury, can't crit. That's kind of cool. This is just... Oh. Like a mess up on the card. Medium injury, speed -1, no gambit. Super cool. All right, then... Now we have more mental things. So here we have guilt, defense -2, discard when you are hit for more than 6 damage. I don't feel guilty anymore. Envy, lose 1 power whenever an ally rolls a critical, discard after you roll 2 criticals. That's interesting. Fear, disengage 2 every time you are hit, discard on kill.
Wow. Sorrow. Resilience -2. Discarded on successful resisting a debuff. These are neat. Determination. Discard a roll to roll all dice from a single roll. Can be used from outside of combat, such as during events. So there's good things as well as bad things. Fellowship. Oh, I don't like the picture on that one. Discard to grant 2 alacrity to an adjacent mercenary. Okay. Yeah, honestly, the art here, the style of this, anger, wow. Very cool. Confidence with the eyes closed. So interesting. Very cool. I'm loving the art of this game. I can tell you that much right now. This is like right up my alley for this. Just and honestly, less Storm Sundery than I expected, because again, the style is very different, right? I actually really like that. All right, I got some more here. Looks like we got some tokens here. Distracting shot. Oh, these are your different skills. So this would. Oh, okay, here I'll take it out to show you. So what this would do. Let me grab the right person. All right. Okay. A little bit. So we got Saren here. Saren, whatever. Okay. So if this is you, right, then you could have pinning attack and read the wind. I'll show you, I guess. And nature's grace and Hawkeye and distracting shot. And there are all your abilities like this right here. Next range attack has range -1, inflicts immobilize. Next attack gains accuracy +2 and combat reroll 1. Next attack lowers defense. A lot of next attacks, which is kind of interesting there actually. And so they come out pretty okay. Oh yeah, that's neat. I dig that. I dig it. Okay. And it looks like you get some for everyone. Right, the fairy can gain stealth. Right, he can do defensive aid. She can do some wild magic. Looks like we have some kind of standee here. A couple of kind of standees here, some kind. So this is really cool, whatever it is. And then this is some kind of house. Oh, you know what I bet? Hold on, wait. Maybe I will build this. I wasn't necessarily going to build it all, but I think I want to show you something. Okay. Okay. Sure. Why not? Hello. I always look at these. There we go. All right. And this one. So I think those like cards I saw at the start, right? I think that goes onto the top of this. Where the, oh, come on. There we go. Okay. There. All right. So where are those? Yeah, right here. So I think goes on like that. Huh? Pretty neat. Pretty cool. And then I don't know if you're supposed to go into it or not. I kind of doubt it, but yeah, I know that doesn't even really. Oh, it kind of matches actually. It's kind of neat. I don't know. Anyway, kind of cool. So a little bit of 3D elements, but honestly not too much, but a little bit there. Done in kind of a cheap way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, right? You don't need to over-engineer and make something super expensive. Lots of big cards here. Lots and lots of big cards. Wow. Okay. All right. Jeez. So, first we got some cheat sheets here. Buffs, symbols, debuffs, and actions, and turn order. So, just some helpful stuff here. I like the picture of it. That's kind of nice. And it looks like you have a whole bunch of what looks to be like... Oh, man, there's a huge mix here. Okay, all right, I'm just going to take some of them, look at them. I want to start spawning... Wolves! Love it. Okay. So, this is like a story event, right? There's a diligent travel. Oh, that's freaking sweet. The art there is amazing. A haunted ghoul. Now this is like an enemy that like attacked or something like that. You can attack the monster harks. Okay, so you get to roll to see what it does. Godless goblin. Oh, it looks like here. See, so this says monster attacks mark number 2, then go to 2, then go to 3, and then the monster dies or whatever, right? And then there's a resolution. So the disagreement, honestly, the art here looks great. Love that. There's definitely more than just test rolls. There's different actions you can do. Check wit, check faith. Wow. These are super cool, guys. I'm not going to lie. These are nice. That's interesting. So this is Possessed Girl, which is kind of creepy. But I will say the art style, very different between these two. So I don't know if there are multiple artists. They don't really credit the artists here. Or why it was decided to be slightly different. But do you see the difference in style there? It's a pretty big difference, right? So it's kind of interesting. Bubbling Mountain. That being said, wow. Sometimes there's with the Perilous Horde. There's a lot of story that can happen here too. Very, very neat. And I mean a lot. Like a whole bunch. And from what I can tell, all unique art. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. It just keeps on going, guys. Now this is, I guess, a little bit different here. Hold on. This might be something slightly, I don't know. Yeah, this right here looks different. This is like the enemy's stuff, right? So that's that guy that you can get loot from, right? You can have Throwing Weight, Kill him quickly, Ravenous Gambit, Lackluster Leadership, Momentum Unleashed, Mid-Round Snack, Come Fight Me, Tenderizing Ambush. Looks like there's different things there. There's an Interrupt. The art is repeated here. Unless there's even like kind of sources on how to play it out there. Okay. Very neat. Okay, so there's a lot there. And then there's Gigarat, the Unhinged, which again looks super cool. Lots of different stuff there. Also fire arrows there. I think you can gain that from them. All right. Wow. 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 There's just tons, guys. That's impressive. And then it looks like there's Warrior, Archer, Cleric, and Mage. So this is kind of what we got here. Okay. Well, that's super neat. I like really dig that. I'm not gonna lie. I think just jack something up there. You know what, you're just gonna go in. Okay. They are numbered, so I might have to fix that later. I don't know. But for now, you're all right. It's all right. Everything is all right. All right. What are you guys thinking so far? Let me know. Let me know. I'd love to read your comments. See what your thoughts are here. Because this is definitely cooler than I thought it was going to be. And I don't say that like in a rude way. I just am very impressed. Right? So to me, it's like even cooler. All right. Now, I think the only thing else we have... okay. A couple more of this, more standees and stuff. Let's take a look at these. I want to put the pegs in. Now again, prototype, obviously, nothing here is final until you get the game. It never is, right? But here we'll take her, and yeah, seems to actually go quite good. Like super easy, barely an inconvenience. That actually pops in very well, and on the edge. Totally fine too. Look, the black came off on it, but you can see it doesn't go in very deep, right? So, and yeah, like this will like color my fingers and everything. Like, I think it's how they like laser cut it, the cardboard. All right. So here, let's say we have a few different things here. I don't know exactly what they are, but they look kind of cool. Looks like they're per person. Attack 1, 2, and 3. I bet. That's what that is. Yeah, flurry of attacks, battlefield looting, pinpoint accuracy. So that would go right here. Okay. It looks like we have one more of that. I'll put it in there. We got some. I'm not going to put all this together, right? But as you can see, there's definitely some 3D elements a bit to it, which is kind of cool. I dig that. Trees and all sorts of stuff. Hello. All right, there we go. And then it looks like we have more here, more 3D. So that's kind of cool to see that. Looks like pillars and stuff like that. Cave stuff. Got a couple more cards here. This would go in the grunts, I think. No, you know what? I don't know. It's a passive. Yeah, no. Oh, ooh. Maybe, no, it's a little too big for that. It can kind of fit in that. And cover 2 of them? I'm not sure. I don't know. What is this I'm looking at? All right, we got lightning, death and life, pierce. Oh, there's front and back. Gain 1 mana, lightning. Oh, so see, one's up, one's down. So there's like a passive and then there's a flip one. Bullseye. Or is there a difference? There's a difference in the passive. I don't think there's a difference in the ability, except that it's on the other side too. Very interesting. So you can almost, if those are the tiers, oh, maybe they are. Maybe you can overlap them. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's interesting. I don't know. A little bit going on there though. Okay. Now, these are like more like regular cards. Wow, fantastic art. He looks awesome. Mini boss, Goblin Corrupted. Orc Ally Shaman. Boss Goblin. Have a little bit of an ability there. They do have a front and a back. I don't know what the difference is, except that, oh, one's corrupted, one's not. Interesting. Corrupted Blood. Oh, that's so freaking cool. That is awesome. Yeah, these are cool. I love the art. Wow. Healer. Tavern. Blacksmith. The guild, so I guess when you go back into town. These are, oh, probably loot that you can get. Yeah, so there's loot tables for killing the enemies. Very cool, very cool. I dig it. All right. Finally, I think we just got minis now, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's literally it. So let me get a little organized here, and then I'll set up for minis. All right. So in here are just some generic kind of dice. Nothing big there. I mean, they're fun shaped and all. They're just, you know, obviously prototype, like not printed super well. You see all the dots on here, right? Stuff like that. But again, I don't want to comment too much because obviously they're not finalized there yet either. All right, so let's take a look at some of these. We got a whole bunch of bags here of guys. And we're gonna have to. We got quite a bit here. Honestly, not gonna lie, quite a bit. All right, and what's fun is it looks like these have to be kind of put together. So to save on space anyway for the prototype. That being said, wow, okay, well it's, you know, you just put them on like that. So let's zoom in. Out of the way. All right, so this is kind of how this guy would be. Looks super cool. I love on the base the overhang. I think that looks great. Very, very nice. Yeah, you can see it's not quite the final plastic, right? So here you can see some of the little supports, right? And then you can even see some of the like lines. Again, very, very faint. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can in person. But very, very, very faint there. Honestly, this looks like it was made quite well. Very crisp details. Loving all of that. And again, this overhang on the base. But then also kind of, it does kind of circle him a little bit, which makes it look like he's, you know, posing, which, you know, is fine because honestly, he kind of is posing, right? It's not like an action shot. But it looks like once he's in there, his feet look great on there. They're definitely making space. One interesting thing I note here is this is kind of cleaved away when it doesn't necessarily need to. And it kind of like frames his foot. See? Which, I mean, is fine, but also kind of interesting. Taking a look at him. Layers look fantastic, you know, of the... Sorry, there's still a little bit of support work here. Just FYI, these are obviously printed. You have... Come on. Clean up. You know, so let's see. On here, you have his, like, horn thing. You have his cloth here. You have that underneath there. You actually have that. And then you have his leg. So there's quite a few layers just kind of sitting right there. Love the straps. Those look really cool. For final print, sometimes these like inner workings here can get a little tough, but it looks like it should be okay. And I would make sure that the manufacturer isn't going to make this less crisp. So right now his arm and his leg are very separate, but a lot of the manufacturers, for ease of printing, either through necessity or, you know, a confidence level in their abilities, will soften that a little bit, right? Because right now that is a really big crevice, and I don't know if when it's in the steel mold, right? It's kind of like having like a hole inside of the ice. You can't do that, right? Like an ice mold, right? So in this, if there's metal and it goes this way and that one, is it flaring out to where it won't come out or not? I think this would still work based off of orientation, but it's something to work with the manufacturer on. Very cool tool here. Looks amazing. Again, I wouldn't necessarily expect that to come out that crisp, right? It's going to be a little bit softer. As long as this and this stay there, the top parts of the tongs may even close. I think that's okay. That's not going to be the end of the world here. This is quite skinny. They might want to thicken that up a little bit. I think it's certainly possible, but it is a rather long, skinny part, and that can get kind of hard to inject the plastic all the way in and then not break anything too. So depending on the plastic used, they might care a bit about that. Another crevice here, right, and in there, but both those are going to be a little hard in the final mini. Be interesting to see how they do there. For this, they did fill in this back part here. It is kind of noticeable, especially right here. So I would have them concave that a little bit. Right now, it's kind of bubbling out, and I'd rather it either be straight or even bent in a little bit. Now, often they can't bend in because, again, there's something's filling it. They can't pull it out. But yeah. Like here, you see the angle here? I think that's great. The angle here, you can, even from the side, you can see the fill-in part here and here. So I would just play around with that a little bit. There's a little clasp here, very, very small. Same with some of the finer details. So there is like really faint detail on here. And I do kind of question how much that'll show. Same with the bands. Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. They may need to simplify that a little bit. That should show up fine. I think the shield is going to look great. Some very fine detail. I would probably deepen on the axe as well as on his like these little circles here. Otherwise, boots should look fine. Those all look great. Yeah, I think he's going to be awesome. That's super cool. All right. So I'm just going to put them in, but I'm not even going to bother zipping them up. You guys don't want to wait for that. All right, let's find another one. I think this is the fairy, or butterfly person. No. Who is this? I don't know. It's somebody. Come on. Oh, the halfling. Be fun to see the size. All right, so this is the halfling. Very, very cool. I think the overall sculpt and design is very neat, very dynamic. The opposite of posing. A lot of overhang on the base here, which I think is awesome. I love seeing that. I think that's super cool. These little tiny swords are going to probably thicken up a little bit, especially the middle part here. That's just not going to happen. And then to get bigger in a bulb like that, it's probably going to get smoothed out. So those will change a little bit. Details on everything else, though, look good. I love the little like throwing knife dagger thing there. The layer lines here look cool. The texture here, if you painted this, like this texture versus this texture, very, very neat. I think it would show up quite well. Very cool base. All right, now for her, again, I'm loving. Oh, boop, 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 boop. I'm loving. She's so tiny. Oh, is she in like multiple pieces? No, it just felt like that. Okay. I love the throwing knives hanging off. That being said, that'll be smoothed out obviously as well. This looks good. It's not too thick. It's a little thick, but it's fine. This is flat. I'm okay with it being flat, even though she is a little bit higher up. It just needs to not bubble out like that. So I think that's okay. Her weapons, these will need to be thickened. That's way too skinny for injection molding. So those will be a little bit, like right now, they're like legitimately sharp. Those, as long as they don't end up banana blades, right? That's the only thing you gotta worry about with that. Oh, very, very cool. I love it. I think that's great. Yeah, face looks cool. The ears with the earrings, very, very cool. But again, that'll be simplified as well. Facial features, they came out good. All right, that's super awesome. I'm excited to get to some of the mass injection ones that they have. So this one, printed around the base like that. Very, very cool. Love the wings. I think it looks awesome. Like really, really cool wings. Not too thick at all. That looks fantastic. The branch with like the little fruits and leaves and whatnot. All that looks really good. Love the texture on the leaves there. They look very nice here. Again, the overhang is fantastic. Love that. There's some parts like here are going to be really hard. They're going to want to adjust that to like really kind of mash it all down. Same with here. There's just some really tiny detail. Like her foot's really tiny. This will probably be thickened up to fill that void. Is what I would expect there. Same with in here underneath her leg. Just there's too much of a cavity. They're not gonna be able to pull it out of the mold there. So a lot of this is designed really, really cool for like a digital or 3D print file. But when you mass inject them, there are limitations to the technology, right? The actual method of like casting it. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind there too. Still a tiny bit of like supports and stuff that weren't quite cleaned off, but yeah, these look fantastic. Very cool design overall. I think that looks great. Again, her separate arm here might be adjusted. I would make that hand a little bit thicker to really differentiate it from the plant once the cast is made. It's going to need to be. But otherwise, very cool. Yeah, that's a fun one. I love that. That's super cool. All right. This one I can already tell is a little bit of a problem, so I'm going to take a look at it. Not so much a problem, just something to be aware of, right? If you can, my recommendation, and I mean now at this point I'm giving away like a free consultation here, right? If you can adjust this with your sculptor, you should do that before you give it to the factory to do it. They will not do as good of a job, and you'll get a lot of back and forth. It'll take longer. It'll delay the campaign. It actually gets kind of expensive with all the back and forth sometimes. It can be kind of a mess, right? So just as an FYI. All right, so there it is. Again, very cool. I like that she's not centered. She's actually like a little in the front here, a little bit at an angle. The base, fantastic. The tree looks good. Doesn't really have the like swirl rings. I'm okay with that. Not everything has like really, really great ring work, but it would have been kind of nice maybe to get a little bit. The leaves on here, again, very good. Some of them slightly too flat for my taste. Just because, again, you're going to lose that detail with the softening of it. Okay, so obviously the bow and the arrow are too skinny, even if you did it in ABS, right? So I would recommend right at the arms here, maybe even the wrists, you cut that off and make this ABS, right? The arrow perpendicular is okay. It'll just take up more space in a mold, but this is way, way, way too skinny. And again, I would trust your sculptor to thicken that more than that. So if there's stuff like this that you know of ahead of time, you should definitely do that before talking to the factory about it. It'll smooth over the process a ton, right? Because when you give them, often you're not even working with the same person. So sometimes they like use an old file. I've seen them like update an old one so they reintroduce issues, and well, during it can just get really messy there, right? The little detail here is fantastic, but far too deep for that to be anything but like a texture, right? So right now it's very molded. That's gonna have to be just where there's like some of the longer gaps between the arrows. They're going to fill that in. That's all. I think that'll still look just fine. Overall, of the hair going around the quiver. I think that's super neat there. Love the flowing dress part here. That's super cool. Armor looks nice and crisp. Hair coming out here looks good. Facial features are a little soft. especially the mouth and maybe even around the eyes where the cheekbones are. I would thicken both of those, like more define them before you give that to the factory, because again, they won't do as good of a job. All right, let's see. Let's do something bigger here. Let's do this one. Well, this is exciting. So first of all, super duper cool. These skulls are incredibly giant. I'm assuming that's on purpose, but obviously they're bigger than a regular person. The flow here looks really cool. I dig that. I think it looks fantastic there. So there's a divot here for where the person fits in. This might be a little smooth here. Maybe define this a little bit here a little bit more. Just personal taste, though, perhaps on that, too. Skulls look fantastic. The detail on the teeth. This one looks fairly well sculpted. These look a little soft. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. I would thicken those up, though, either way for the final cast. I love the smoke going through the skulls, in this case, into the eye hole. It makes it look kind of funny in gray plastic, right? But if you painted it, I think it would sell the deal a lot. It would look really good. And then you have this guy. Super cool. So this looks like it would go in like that. Oh, fits like a glove. Look at that. So cool. So cool. What an awesome mini. I love this. All right, so very muscular, well-defined. His like guts around here are going to be so much fun to paint all of that. The like flayed skin, gross. The hand coming out of the mouth like that, disgusting. I love it. The claws, all that looks cool. They did already combine some of the fingers. I think that is smart because, again, otherwise there might be some issue. It looks like 2 fingers broke off here. Again, this is a 3D printed. It's resin, so a little bit more. It's not as strong, right? But obviously, where the resin breaks, this is going to be a stress point for the miniature, even in final plastic. Right? So something to keep in mind there. The deep recessed eyes look great. Yeah, most of this seems quite doable. The hand here is splayed out. They're probably going to want to maybe thicken those fingers up slightly. Otherwise, change the actual hand pose to something more like that. It'd just be interesting to see. Yeah, looks fantastic. Very, very cool. Love the overall pose. The elbows out, the lunging forward, the coming out of the mist. You could tell like where would his legs even end? Doesn't even matter. It's very, very cool. The only other interesting thing here, looking at it closer, is down here. It looks like it is kind of swirling on top of something. So there's definitely some like texture here, like a leaf or something like that. There's a few little lines here. I don't know exactly what those are, and it's interesting that nothing else really does it. A little bit right here in the front. That's the bottom jaw there, which is funny. So a little bit right here, and then a tiny bit, looks like on the bottom, and then a little bit more right there. Anyway, just kind of interesting. Very good attention to detail there. All right. Let's keep it up. Lots of cool minis to look at. Now this one, very cool on both the base and the overall design here. I like this one. Okay, so for the base, again, looks fantastic. Love all the spikes. I think that's super cool. They might want to adjust the angle of those to line up more. The risk there is often what they'll do is they'll put them all to one side or another. You see this on like spikes on minis a lot as well, where if you're casting this, right, the negative space can, if they're going every which way, can essentially mean it's where they can't like take it off, right? So that can be a little messy there. So anyway, just as a note, keep an eye on that. They'll probably adjust these. If nothing else, often it's the angle, right? So maybe it goes a little bit more up versus out. But if that's not the vision you have in mind, they could also separate these and just like put them on. They are in these kind of like batches, so maybe just do that. It's obviously assembly costs a little bit more than the mold space is a lot larger, so it takes up more of the steel. Just, different things to kind of come into play there. Yeah, love the difference in texture. So the separation here, very, very cool. Now this guy, he doesn't care about those spikes because he's on his like little, again, I think, yeah, it goes this way for sure. Okay. So he doesn't care because he's on these stilts, right? So he's going to walk right over it. Also, he always gets the height advantage. +1 to damage or whatever because he's up high. I love it. This is so much fun. Okay. So the strap around his boot, where that is, that's fantastic. I love that. Right now, with his raised, especially the angled, this is like a little flat. It looks like it's supposed to be, but just as an FYI. See, this is already like bending and going to break. Yeah, it would in the final plastic heat as well. This one, they'll probably combine them all, right? You could possibly do ABS, but it is kind of tough because you'd have to do all the rest. And right now his bow is a lot thicker than hers, so it's actually fairly doable there. But these arrows is probably going to fill in these. So just as an FYI, you might want to go ahead and do that ahead of time, especially because what they'll do is they'll take your existing one and just fill it in probably, or thicken them up to fill them in. And then have just like 3 heads to it. I would take these and just kind of squish them up a little bit, have them angled more, where like instead of in a row like this, one's like kind of like this, right, versus this, right. So just a little bit there, you can stack them up like that, but that way the shafts themselves they don't look too thick, right? Because I suspect that's what the factory would do. All right, again, this looks good. Maybe a little deep. Maybe it needs a little bit of just a texture versus sculpt. Otherwise, inside of the cape, all that looks good. Nothing's too skinny there. This is attached well. Yeah, what a cool character. I love his mask and his big old grin. He's having a great time. Anytime the boss is really happy to be there and loves killing people, I'm all about it. I think that's awesome. Oh, let's look for this big guy here. We got a big boy. Yeah, man. Oh, he's just so fat. Dude needs to go on a diet. All right, so again, the base with the spikes, same kind of thing. I like the skulls added to this one. And then on the base, he looks like that. Very, very, very cool. Yeah, big guy. All right. So, the skin, fairly smooth. They didn't do a lot of like texture on the skin, which I'm fine with. Again, it often doesn't come up in anything but resin anyway. His blades should not be thickened anymore. They're already plenty thick. And in fact, like that's putting it like to the limit for me. I'd almost like it to be a little bit skinnier, but perhaps that's fine. It is angled here to look like it's still to a point, so I appreciate that. And as you can see, not being attached, even then it's kind of like bending a little bit. The armor looks fantastic. The differences in like his top knot hair versus the like pelt or whatever fur he has there, very neat. Again, I love the padding. The undershirt here looks super cool. It's interesting that he has no armor here and these giant freaking like pauldrons and stuff. I like it. It's definitely a style choice there. The boots look good. A little bit of a deep groove there that won't be there. The separation here between ridge and then opened up, I actually really like that. I think it looks awesome. So yeah, overall, very cool guy. I like it. I like to just kind of look into the side. He's starting to raise one arm. It looks like he's kind of walking and then stops and looks over, which is kind of a nice motion to be in. All right, let's take a look at this one. Okay, again, base is hey, oh no. All right, let's take a look at these. So there are 3 of them, and I think they look to be the exact same pose. So I'm only going to take one of them out. I don't know if alternate poses are part of the stretch goals or what, but that's okay. All right, so much smaller base, like a 22 mil, something like that. Okay, again, just standing at attention, right? One of the things I love, and it almost looks like that. So okay, well, so I love this, right? The sword going straight up, that's fine. This would need to be ABS, and even then it'd need to be thickened. The spikes are super cool. I love that. The whole mask with the breathing slits there, super neat. The like little half cape here on the side, love that. Every time I see that in a miniature, even in a board game or a video game or whatever it is, there's something about it I just love. This, I don't know, they're kind of like pauldrons, but then it's like for the cape. Anyway, it looks really cool. I love you know, hey, here's a cloth legging with the strapped on plate. That's super neat. This sword here, first of all, again, way too skinny. It almost looks to me like, see how his arm's backing out? Almost like it should be resting on the hilt. It might be something to kind of look into. If you bend the elbow a little bit and do that, first of all, it would have 2 connection points within in between, which might be kind of nice. It would reinforce the fingers, of which one of these, like, it already broke, but again, it's resin. It's both a casual and a non-casual, which is, I don't know, kind of an interesting thing. Maybe you care about that, maybe you don't. But yeah, I think that would simplify this a lot if they did that. Otherwise, it almost looks like, with his arm out like that, like he just like swooshed back something, but this isn't flowing or anything like this. In fact, this isn't moving at all. Something else to kind of keep in mind. Is he just really just standing there like that? Maybe he will rest his hand. I don't know. Kind of interesting. And then again, there's just 2 others of the same kind there. All right. Come on. Okay. All right. So again, nice crisp details there. That's going to look fantastic. It's going to look really, really good. Very, very cool how he's like edge. In fact, he's standing off of the base. I love that. It's, hey, this is a small base, but at the same time, he's got his legs out like that and like this like kind of power stance thing. Very, very, I really like this one. I love that he has this shield out. I love that he's kind of bracing it. He is kind of leaning down, which I think is a cool look. I think technically he would probably, like, you know, not quite extend his arm even quite that much, but either way, holding it close to him, very, very nice. The thickness of the shield, I love. Already some battle damage. I love that it even affected the outside trim. His helmet obviously looks super cool as well. I don't know what's that there at the top. He's got like a little short sword here. Looks fantastic. Actually, looks really, really, really good. They might want to thicken that up a little bit if you're doing PVC. If you're doing ABS, then not so much. And the layers here, again, make this a little complex, especially the back of the helmet in there. They might do the head separate. They might just change that. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that might be a little too much for it. But either way, very cool pose. I love that. He looks super awesome. Let's do another character here. This is a fun one, especially if you painted it. So again, fantastic bases. Like, these bases are really, really, really good. I dig it. And then look kind of like that. And kind of the blade's bent a little bit, it would be straight. So it'd be much farther out, right? Like more like that. Very cool. Very cool. Well, the highlight for me actually is the cape. So the smooth, and then these like little like bits here, and then the fur right here. That fur looks fantastic. You might need to thicken that up a little bit. I would hate for that to soften too much. Yeah, I would just make that maybe a slightly more recessed around everything. The inside of it looks very, very cool as well. The cape, that is. Facial features, again, they're all just kind of like, besides that grinning goblin guy, just kind of staring, which is fine. I'm okay with that. The armor here, again, that looks fantastic. Love the book with the clasp and everything. Details in there. You can see lining right underneath your chest. It's the exact same kind of stuff that's on the cape. That's super neat to tie it forward and back like that. Pointy ears look good. Thickness of this sword looks good. This one, again, will probably want to be thickened a little bit. Though, again, just make sure to keep it from looking too fat as well. If you need to do ABS, I would recommend it. Because really, it's from here. This is the last connection point. This is all just its own thing, right? So, either way, very cool mini. I like that one a lot. Like I really do. That one's super cool. All right, just got a couple more here. Got a whole bunch of like archers and stuff. These goblins. This is what they do. All right, so again, base theme all looks great. Very thematic, very much the same. Oh, he's got like his freaking dogs out. He's got toes and junk. Not even wearing shoes. He does have one of those spikes, dude. Okay, so very similar kind of like face mask helmet thing. The chain link here is fantastic. So, like, that's a really good chain link. That looks really, really good. I will say, especially right here, you want to define that a little bit. Just make sure it pops so that when they do the injection mold and it softens up, it's already ready to go. Okay, same thing about the arrows as always. He's already loosed it, which is kind of cool. They don't try to do the string. That's totally fine. And then they avoided the whole arrow thing because he just shot it. I love the like swirl where he puts his leg out. You can kind of tell that. Just very, very cool to see. Yeah, that one's fun. I like it. Okay. We got like 4 more here. And we'll start looking at what's in the boxes. There's some bigger miniatures I'm looking forward to as well. Okay, again, thematic base. Barefoot. Similar kind of helmet. The weapon is literally like the size of this goblin. Like, literally, if you stood it up, it might be actually a little bit taller, though he is bending his legs. So, probably a little bit shorter in total if he like stood up straight. But, yeah, chain link still looking great. It's kind of interesting. They got 2 different kinds. So, they have like this like really fine mesh style. And then they have these like really thick loop hoops kind of style, which is very neat. I don't see anything about this mini that would not work. I think it'll look fantastic. Yeah, the weapon's cool. Getting a little thick, but they kind of sharpen a little bit. I guess one thing I am noticing, there's a little bit of texture on this blade, which looks awesome, but it's way too fine. There's no way that's getting into the final piece without thickening that a little bit. Okay, we're avoiding goblins for a little... Oh, no, still goblins. For some reason, I thought this was a skeleton. I don't even know why I saw that. So again, these are all the same. Come on. Looks like they mostly come in 3s. Though I think for the grunts there was 4, I think, total that you could have, like numbered things. Okay, so again, looks awesome. Molded very well. I like the sculpt. I like that he's leaning forward. I think that's great too. The shield, super cool. Looks fantastic. Really, really, really good. I think that's going to come out great. The face here, again, the mouth, I would deepen that grimace a little bit, but I do like they're like showing off their teeth a lot. The mace here looks very, very neat. Yeah, overall, very cool. Yeah, I'm happy with just about all of that. All right. That was right here. 2 more. Come on. All right. This one you just get 2, not 3. Again, base looks fantastic. Like really, really, really good. Those like pop marks in there, crazy. And once again, like it looks like kind of hanging off the base a little bit. See that back heel? Ever so slightly. I love that. Love that. Yeah, very much leaning forward, which is something you don't always see with an archer. Of course, he's a crossbowman. They have their bolts on the back here instead of the back there. Easier to draw. That makes total sense. You even have like the crank to pull it back there, which is kind of neat. His fingers here, first of all, I don't know what the heck's going on with them, but they're like, look clawed. That's like creepy. So I wouldn't make them quite so pointy and maybe even long. Looks like he's got really long fingers. But you might want to put them together instead of like that, right? Just to help with the mold process. Otherwise, again, I love the little kind of like cloak on top here. And yeah, I don't know if I trust this guy to shoot. He can barely see out of that thing. But he looks cool doing it. So I guess the rule cool applies. All right, last one of these. Some more, looks like goblin archers. Because there wasn't enough of them. There's a lot of different kinds. All right. So this one, fairly different. This is kind of interesting. Fairly different base. I don't think this really belongs to the others. Also, I don't know, seems a bit smaller to me too, the guy does. Like, I don't know who these... Yeah, so they're also like not... I don't think they're wearing a mask. This might be like outside of the cave instead of inside the cave kind of thing. All right, so... Yep, same thing as always with this. I love the little divot there. That should be fairly doable. They might just lessen it slightly, but it'll still be like pushed in a little bit. Looks like I got one with half of his bow off. I apologize for that. Let me get another one. Interesting enough, I do not see the bow piece in here. I think he may have had that break off before Oh, no, it's there. All right, I see it in the bottom. All right, there you go. That's a little bit better. That's how the bow should look, just like that. I love how the hood, they put little holes for their ears. That's fantastic. Good for them, taking care of themselves. All right. Yeah, very cool. I dig all that. Again, very, very skinny. What they might want to do is actually move it to where it's pretty much flat against the chest and against the arm. They could probably do a gap like this. It just gets a little tricky, and again, it's definitely going to have to thicken up. But yeah, otherwise, very cool. Very cool. All right. That is it for those. Now, there is some more going on here. So I want to go ahead and do these first, and then we're going to do these. These are like the like actual plastic. But I am curious. Oh, I'm not sure these are. Oh, interesting, interesting. Okay, okay. Well, here, let's take a look at some of these. So some of these, like this guy. No, actually, these are different. Okay, they're I think these are like alternate poses and stuff, because this looks so much like the axe guy, but a little bit different. So they do have different bases. Let's see if I'm going to compare the two. Very similar, but not. So this is the one I showed you. This is a different one. Again, don't mind the bend there. It should be like that, right? Okay, that's very cool. So yeah, it's still 3D printed. So same style, just looks like different versions of them. I don't know. No, wait, this guy's got a shield. So it's just different. It's just different. I love these big hoop chainmail things. Super cool. His hair coming out of there also very. This guy would look amazing painted. I love that. That's awesome. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Ah, okay. There's the same guy. So there's another version of him there, right? As far as I can tell, yeah, still 3D printed. Okay. So some new, some not. Okay, this is a alternate from. Oh, where did that guy go? Hello. From these, right? So different pose, right? But same like equipment. The mace is a little bit different as well, but that's cool to see. I like seeing the differences here. That's awesome. So there's the original one. Oh, this guy's like bent down. I love this guy. I want to take a look at him. Come on. All right, so as always, base fantastic, right? This guy be like that towards the back, which is really cool. I love when they're not quite centered. All right, so he's like hunched down, right? But then his head is like lifted up and over, but look at how bent over he is. Like not only are his knees up high, but he's like leaning forward. He's about to jump, or he just landed, one or the other. But that's a fun one. I like that one. Makes him look a lot smaller than he actually is. All right, so here's one box. Let's look at another one. Layers and layers and layers of protection here. All right. Oh, that's a cool guy. I love. He's very different. Very, very different. Okay. Again, core space, fantastic. Now for this guy. Again, just kind of walking through. Looks great there. I love. First of all, he's not wearing a mask. He doesn't have any hair at all. It's like completely bald. But he does have like his cloak up over his nose like a bandana, which I think is super neat. And then right now, these are separate. I'd want to keep it that way. I would not want to connect those. They might connect that a little bit there, but even that gap is going to get kind of tough. So it'll be kind of interesting. Maybe it'll be separate. I love the quiver. Just looks really, really cool. He's got like a chunk missing out of his ear that looks to be on purpose. As far as I can tell. Yeah, very cool guy. I like him. very, very different from the other ones. Right? Most of the ones are wearing a hood or something like that. That's another fantastic one. I love when it's kind of when the arrow's down a little bit. That's one we've already seen. Okay, yeah. So they're definitely more lightly armored. These archer ones. They're not all of them. This guy's really heavily armored. Must be the leader. All right, one more. I hope this one's taped. What the heck? Why are you randomly doing that to me? Aha, okay. And so these are some of the final ones. Fantastic. All right, let's take a look. Oh, I can't wait. I'm like stoked. So we're gonna do a comparison here. So you can see some of the ones that are done more. Ah, super pumped to see these. Okay, I love these comparisons. It's like a little highlight into how they work, right? All right, so here he is normal. And then here he is in the final one. So I will say, I think it came out pretty okay. So they didn't really scale it up or anything like that. It's about the same scale, right? But, and I think they did fantastic on the base. Like the base came out extremely well. Just about everything they wanted to do. Okay, remember how I told about different angles? You see how this was angled down? It's now angled in a line, right? I think that still works. This one is kind of like up. They like shortened it and made it to where it's like straight up instead of angled slightly back this way, right? So little tiny differences like that. That's probably one of the best examples I've seen of alignment, right? When it comes to like, hey, if it's like that, they can pull it out. If it's like that, like they can't pull it. It's angled up both sides, right? So anytime as a sculptor or you have a sculptor, you're working on a game or whatever, obviously just something to keep in mind. I believe the manufacturer was E-Star, by the way, on these, which they have improved quite a bit over the years. They're still not my favorite manufacturer, but it's certainly a lot better. This base, though, looks great. I love that grass. Okay. All right, so assembly-wise, pretty good. There's maybe a little bit more of a line than I'd want there, but not barely anything. It's honestly pretty good. The arrows, that was the big thing for me, right? As you can see, what they did is they just thickened them up and actually spread them out. Now, that's okay, right? I would have still rather layered them versus spread them out like that. I get the vision, but one of the problems you get is, as you can see in right here, this is just kind of a mess, right? There's just no detail in between them, right? So if nothing else, I'd like to have that refined a bit more, right? Because it's like nice, actually fairly crisp, and then just smudged, right? And that's what happens when the factory does it versus the sculptor, right? The factory's just trying to make it. Assembly, they did make these separate, but again, not ABS. It's still PVC. Totally fine. The face mask came out great. It looks to me like they actually thickened the teeth a little bit, which is nice to see. I think that's super cool. Otherwise, it's like everything else came out quite well. Assembly here worked out pretty well. Same with right there with the skulls. The straps around the eyes of the skulls can sometimes be kind of hard. I think that worked out pretty okay. One thing that, I think that works. Yeah, okay, looks cool. Honestly, I think they did a pretty good job of that. Very cool mini. A little bit of a mark there where the piece of plastic was in between the different molds. Oh, and then here's the quiver. So again, not too much different. But one thing you can notice, this is the original. As you can see, I think it's a little bit thicker. A little bit, and this one, it's more of a texture, right? That's kind of the only difference there. But otherwise, yeah, I think he looks great. Yeah, the one thing I would say is perhaps either define that or adjust how they solve this problem, right? Right now it's a little thick, but it's fine. I mean, it's nothing egregious, so that's cool. All right, let's see. Let's look at. I don't think I had this big guy here. I did not. Well, then I can't compare. I'm trying to look for people I can compare to. Okay, yeah, here she is. So Exact same thing with Saren here, with the quiver again. Actually looks quite good. They actually did a few, so I can tell there's been some back and forth, right? So one thing that's interesting is this is pretty much a smooth quiver. This one, as you can see, is textured. That's kind of interesting to see. The angle of the quiver and the hair around it changed. All right, so that's interesting. The crispness of the end of that obviously, came into play as well. And then of course the biggest thing here is the bow being thickened here. Now, of note, they went with ABS, not PVC. So see how it's like right where her arms are here? See how it's shinier here? And you hear that? That's ABS, right? It's a much more rigid, more expensive plastic, but it can hold its shape a lot easier, so it won't be as bendy. But even then, they still thickened it. That being said, I think they did a pretty good job here. It's not terribly thick. It's obviously thicker than real life, but that's okay. They also, it looks like, changed the way she's looking a little bit. So here, she's looking over to the right and slightly up, I would say. And here she's looking more towards you. So right now she's looking kind of almost towards where she's maybe going to shoot. Here, I would say no. She's just kind of standing. I wonder why they changed that. I actually don't like that change as much. I'm not exactly sure why it was changed. But I like the head position here a lot more. There, it's a little bit more generic. It looks almost like the head's been enlarged a little bit. I wonder how much she has increased. Maybe just slightly. Yeah, either way, it looks great. Looks cool. Oh, one thing to note. Even though this is ABS, which you can get pretty crisp details there. The fingers to the arrow, it's like really smooth. Like see how there's nothing even stopping. Like here, it wants to almost stop. Here, it's totally smooth, right? There's just no difference between the finger and the shaft of the arrow. You're definitely gonna want to define that before mass printing there. Just kind of go in there, get those fingers a little bit more defined, especially at the end of the arrow. That's kind of the only thing I'd probably say there. And then another thing, you see this bit of hair here. So they don't like these like overhangs. Again, it can get really hard to take out, and it's really hard to push the plastic in there. Same with like this right here, right? And so they flattened it all. So this one just a little bit thicker, not too bad, but this one, right? They just plopped right onto there, right? So little changes like that are often made. Here's this guy. Again, very, very cool. Big difference here is the armor. Here it was separate, which again, kind of a really hard angle to do. Here, they literally, you can actually, you know what's funny? You can literally see the line. Okay, so the original line right there, and you can even see the line. It's not even quite smooth. And then they literally just filled it in. Like that's literally all they did. And this is kind of the hard part, right? Is they just don't care as much in these factories. So instead of like sculpting it to be angled lower, they just doubled the thickness. There's literally still even a line there. That's so funny. Here, let me make sure you can see that. So again, right there. That's where the original line is, and they just thickened it up. Too funny. Also, the gap in here was filled in. That makes total sense. I think the fingers actually look better now than they did before. And they actually kept the space, so that's really cool. I guess they're thick enough when they're gauntleted like that, so that's kind of nice. All the little details are there. The ridge here taken down a notch, and then obviously there is a mold line that you now have to contest with. Yeah, back end looks pretty smooth. They thickened that up a little bit to make sure it showed. I think it actually is an improvement. And yeah, just a little bit of filling in there. Nothing too bad on the bolts. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, they did a great job. That's a cool looking mini now. All right. I'm going to go and show this guy off. Again, I didn't have the other version of him, so may as well look at this version of him. And again, this is pretty much what you would get in the game. This is now a cast mold. They can still adjust that mold a little bit, which is why I'm still providing some feedback. But yeah, this is really cool. So, again, base, I think it looks great. The shield, super cool there. Nice and crisp against everything. I think it's totally fine. I don't see it warping anything. The weapon, fantastic. The fingers over there, very cool. The mask, very ornate. This is a little thick here, which, I mean, that's fine. That happens. They fill it in. But normally what I ask then is that they put some detail in here. And it looks like they did. They actually did kind of sculpt it a little bit. I would ask if they could define that a bit more. But otherwise, that looks great. Wow, man, the plating on that looks super cool. This is obviously filled in. It's more flat than I would like. It looks okay, but I would like a little bit of ridge. You can actually see, again, where that line is. But then that line isn't there. Even that little bit of line, I think, actually kind of helps a little bit. Same with the split there. But it's not super noticeable, especially on the table. Thickness of the blade looks fantastic. Yeah, this is actually really nice. I like this one. It's like solid. It's like, yeah, that's solid there. All right. So there's the preview to what we're about to see. So there are more miniatures here, and they're larger. So I'm just going to start taking them out. Well, some of them are larger. And we're going to end on those big ones. If you need to blow your nose, I have some tissue for you. All right. So this one's a lot of fun. I dig this. I think it looks super cool. The skull, fantastic. The depth there looks really, really good. Really do dig that. Same here. Love the cracked eye. Just looks great. Super fun. A little bit of a thick axe, but I think it actually still looks like I'm not bummed about that at all. It just kind of angled into a little bit of a point. So overall, pretty happy with that. Looks cool. All right. Oh, there's two in here. Okay. There's that one. Oh, look at this. This is fun. We got a raptor going on here. Very cool. That's different. So very different enemies. It's not all goblins, guys. Love the base. All these leaves look fantastic. They did a good job layering them. I don't see anything coming out where it shouldn't. Overall, looks very cool there. We got some vines growing or roots or whatever. All right, so for the dinosaur itself, underside all sculpted. Different plates came out really, really good. Looks like it's soft there. It gets a little soft there. Nothing too bad there. Claws came out looking really good. I dig that. Maybe that one used a little bit of definition, but that's okay. Nothing too bad there. A little bit of a runner there. Face looks good. Mouth looks good. Teeth look really crisp. That's fantastic. This arm is connected. I kind of wish it wasn't, but still looks cool. Spikes look good. Love the little feathers, tendril kind of things there. Yeah, that's a fun one. Huh. And another dinosaurs. Okay, now I gotta really make sure I didn't miss something. We got some eggs. That's super awesome. These look like they honestly remind me of the eggs from the Godzilla 2000 movie, if you remember that one. There was a big scene in the last act where, there's all those eggs. I don't know, kind of in my head, this is how I remember them. I haven't seen that movie in forever. Okay, that's fun. So she's got her eggs. That's fantastic. All right. Oh, okay, this is much more sizable. Oh, guys. Look at that. Wow, I got all these little goblins and they were hiding this thing. Shoot, I'll skip the goblins. This is awesome. I actually really I thought this was a little thing. No, it's actually just this bone going slightly out. Very, very cool. This is a gnarly centipede. Inside of the mouth looks great. So there's some mild texture on the top there, bottom there, sculpted. They got some little mouth flap things going on. Very, very even up to the tail looks great. Obviously the skull has been such a cool mini. I love that one. That was so cool. Oop, he just fell right out. Be careful. Oh man, these are the guys I wanted to see. These are awesome. All right, so ABS again looks fantastic. It's just his arm right here, right. Normally they do separations where armor stops and stuff, so that looks great. A little bit of a harsher line here, but again, once painted and primed all that, I think it'll look fantastic. The other thing that's kind of interesting is he is part of his base here. Where does he? It looks really smooth, but it's not. I think that is actually separate. Kind of interesting. Okay. Well. Yeah, okay. I thought it almost looked soft to me, right? Very, very cool. All right. So muscle definition looks great. Facial features, I like that he's actually shouting, he's doing something. I appreciate that. That sword is freaking sweet. The like back armor spike thing, super cool. Love the different layers of the cloth here and stuff. Very, very nice. Yeah, it looks awesome. That's a fun one. Okay. Look at this guy. Freaking sweet. Oh my gosh. The freaking blades. Awesome. Very, very cool. Oh man, I love the skull with like the corruption coming out like that. Very, very neat. Love it. I don't really see a whole lot of other opportunities to display the corruption. I'm assuming that's what that is, but very cool anyway. These scales, fantastic. The definition and depth there, very, very cool. I love a little attention to detail, like the more flexible kind of under padding here, so you can still move around a little bit. That's kind of nice. It is a little bit of an oddity right here. So this is these little things I'd point out when I do consulting, for instance. Or like, do you see how it just kind of like connects? I'd want that, like, yeah, trim that out. Honestly, you can get an X-Acto knife and do that if you wanted to and fix it. And that's really all it needs. This is crisp, but then sometimes when they have the actual change right in between there, right here, smoothed out a little bit. Chain looks like it came out really, really good. Again, maybe a little soft definition there, but actually that's quite minor, and the rest of it I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, very cool. I love, again, the armor. Armor's a highlight there for me, for sure. All right, much smaller one here. Oh, this is fun. Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. So this is what we're going on here. So assembly-wise, I think this is fine. Sometimes it gets a little... Do you see how these are like filled in there? That's kind of odd to me. Like, it's fine, but he does look like he's like really fat because of it, right? I would have almost like thinned this up, then like kept it thick like that, because that's like really, really thick. That dude is weighed down. I guess he doesn't care. He doesn't have muscles. He's just all skeleton. Well, speaking of which, love the skeleton head. The rope texture here looks great. The beads here look great. The medallion looks great. The fingers look great. The book not only does it have a really cool back in there, and they obviously put some money into it, right? But in here, on the pages, they have little marks, which is super neat. I dig that. That's awesome. All right. Guess he reads Braille. He doesn't have eyeballs, so that makes sense. Look at this guy. Wow. Okay, these are so cool. All right, so here's like, you know, the only thing that would be cooler than this is if there was like a hole here, like he just came out of the ground. Like this is all you saw, and then he pops up. He did somewhere though, just not right where he's at now. Super, super cool. I love the like arms that are like gonna pull him on this like sand. I love the texture of that. I think that looks really, really good as well. Just super, super cool. Yeah, I love that. The different layers of stuff here, chains and whatnot coming out, little arms with blades. The sword actually came out quite good, like that. Very cool. I like him. He's cool. Oh, wow, this is a big one. Whoa, look at this. Super cool. All right, so the base is obviously huge. It's a big part of it. It's a big base. Love the different like skull totem looking kind of things that we got going on there. That's super neat. Obviously a lot of different layers here. Really cool looking kind of staff. The fill-in isn't bad at all there. That all looks good. The huge tusks look cool. I love the kind of like head up and back a little bit. That's kind of a neat thing. Hand came out good with the fingers just thick enough. Love the little texture they put on here, the little hash marks. That looks great. Even like the inner workings like of some of the decorative pieces around the ankles. Like a lot of attention to detail here. I think it looks great. I would have liked this to be textured as well, right? You see all the ripples here? And then it's completely smooth. A little bit of texture goes a long way from this is, and I get maybe on the inside it's like it's only like this on the outside, but it still wouldn't be that smooth. It would have some kind of like ebb and flow just like this, right? To have that one-sided looks a little odd. So that's probably my only disappointment are these two pieces here, right? Everything else looks really, really, really good. Super cool. Yeah, the assembly on that whole headpiece looks awesome. I'm not going to go do it. Well, I want to do a comparison there. No, because this one was in the box, so I don't want to take it out. But yeah, they went with ABS on this, right? So that, that's why it's kind of shiny, and it's why they were able to keep such a small point. So they're definitely splurging and spending money where it makes sense, and I really dig that. I think that's the smart thing to do. You want to be responsible about it, right? Both how many parts, but what plastic you make out of it. But sometimes, like with that arrows thing, it can really matter. Again, it looks great. They did the ABS on that, and I think the arrow better for it looks awesome. This bow, super cool bow. Also, did he just like push this out? Do you see that? It's like he like slid his foot out, and it like warped in. Like, oh, that's super neat. Super neat. I dig that. Again, maybe a little flat on the texture there, nothing too bad. Again, assembly on the head looks good. All right, yeah, I dig it. That's super cool. Love the skulls. I love how does this one have a beard? It looks like it has a beard. Do you guys see that? Hilarious. Again, these are pretty much brand new. I think they just got this sent to them before they sent it along to me. So hopefully you appreciate looking at this. Oh, guys, this is what I was waiting for. Look at this guy. Awesome. I wasn't waiting for him in particular. I'd never seen him before in my life. But like, you know, I knew that like big scary guys were coming. Oh, man. So again, love the overhang. I'm just always a fan. I don't like how... It's a weird residue thing. I don't like how the round bases can often make things seem framed, right? They're just in the center, just standing there posing or whatever. So I love stuff like this. He's obviously smacked that and broken the rock, which is super cool to see. Yeah, very, very strong. I love the bolting and binding of stuff around it. Obviously, his armor's super cool. I like these like big hulking guys where like their back or shoulder muscles like make it to where their head comes out of like the top of their chest in a different way because it's all like bulked up over here. Leaning forward, very aggressive. These blades, super cool. I think they came out nice and crisp. I love the separation there of them. So he's got a weapon here and a weapon here. The layering's cool. All the skulls are cool. I haven't compared skull sizes, but besides, I've only just kind of noted when they're like really big, right? Very cool guy. Very, very cool guy. So before I unbox this, I'm actually going to go slightly backwards here. I like this back end too, like how separated. Like this whole weapon structure, I actually really, really like. The bindings are really crisp. It's so much easier often when they're big like this to get the details, right? Because the details are bigger. It's those fine, small. Guys, you just got my wife. She loves like beholders and stuff like that. She's gonna just love this. Absolutely love it. So cool. What an aggressive version of it. I love it. The weird like segmented tentacle stuff, that's really cool with like the little eye nub in the end. The fact that this goes all the way through, super cool. Dig that. Teeth came out great. Eyeball looks good. All the wrinkles look cool. This is super awesome. I love how he's like wisping out from here, right? Like, oh, so cool. What a fun one. I love that. Love it. That might be my favorite one so far. All right. I think we got two. Oh, well, a little bit more than two more because this is a hidden one in here. All right. Here's multi-armed McGee. Very, very cool. Again, I think they did a great job on almost all of these skulls. The separation here between the cloth and the wrap and then the leg underneath look very, very nice. I dig that. Again, they thickened this up. You can actually see where they thickened it up. They don't care, right? So they're just like, I don't want to bring that down, or so just smudge some stuff in the middle of it. Kind of unfortunate. This one barely did here. But again, you can see exactly where they molded it. The assembly here is a little off. So this isn't pushed in quite all the way. It's a little bit of a complex system. Looks like it kind of hooks in like that, but it needed to be pushed in a little bit more. That being said, still looks cool. And also with the skeleton, I might not even need to fix that, right? Especially if you paint it. But, you know, like just jointed body parts kind of works, right? All right, making sure. Okay, all right. Now I think there's 2 more. All right. Wow, super cool. So this ABS, that's why it's straight like that. ABS holds its shape much, much better. Very springy. A lot of like consumer goods are actually ABS plastic. Just it's a more expensive but much more rigid than the PVC. Though PVC, again, a lot cheaper if you want to mass produce something and you don't need it. That's great. Okay, so the base here looks fantastic. Again, I appreciate the overhang. All of these bases seem incredibly like stable. I think they're ABS as well. Hence, again, how shiny they are. All right, and normally there's an ABS PVC mix. It's literally types of plastic, right? And that's why sometimes they can be a little shiny like that, and still keep those details up. And resin, often you do that too, by the way, when you're like printing out something like this. You know, like people get like, oh, was it tenacious, or like there's some expensive resins that are really robust. You just mix a little bit into your other resin, it enhances it. So you can do all sorts of plastics. Okay, all right. So seeing the bone through the skin is freaking gnarly there. Like that's hardcore. That poor horse. That's crazy. Yeah. See, same with right here. Same with the front here. Very cool because it's mostly still a normal horse, which I appreciate. The teeth on the horse came out okay-ish. Maybe not as detailed as I'd want for them to be there, but they are there. Nostril, eyes, reins, all those look really good. The guy in his helmet looks cool. With his big smile like that, he almost looks like the mouth of Sauron a little bit. Yeah, very, very, very cool. This isn't too thick, actually, at all, which I appreciate. Maybe it's a little rigid. Maybe I like it a little bit more flowy, but you know, I guess it depends. Maybe it's leather or something. I don't know. But yeah, otherwise, details on everything look good. And yeah, just really cool. And again, this ABS weapon looks fantastic. Really, really good there. Yeah, very cool. All right, last one, I think. Oh, nope. There might be more. Oh, there was some hidden underneath. All right. There's still one more? Yeah. Okay. There's just other heroes here, I think. Oh, he's cool. All right, so he's new. I like that. A little dwarf guy there. Love the bald head. The fist looks great. Yeah, super cool. I love that. I love how he's like angled slightly down there like that. That's super neat. Beard looks good. Symbol here is okay, maybe a little off. Ear hole, those are there in presence. We can hear. That's great. This assembly is much better. Yeah, very cool. And you see these soft parts or anything. Let me look at from the fingers. Yeah, it looks good. Mold line's very minimal too, which is very nice. All right, so here you got this guy again, which again, same as this. So I will say they did thicken up the axe, but very little. It's not too bad at all. It looks like okay, so one of the things they got rid of, you see how there's an overhang here? See how it's over his shoulder? And here, because they separated this, they didn't, if you separate and just cut the tip of the hair off, it's always going to look bad. It's better to conform the hair to the separation, right? So these are all kind of tucked behind his arm now. So just a small change there, nothing too bad. Clasp, everything there looked good. It did lower some detail of this, but not too much, not too bad there. He still looks like he's got a fat butt, but you know, whatever. Let's see, some very slight angle changes on some of his stuff, Most of this though I think looks great. The only other thing I would say is it looks to me, and maybe I'm wrong, this is not curved as much, right? These look a little bit more straight up. Nothing too bad there, but just a little bit. They actually kept this really good, and even in fact, even that separation there looks really great. Okay, the tongs. Remember I was talking about the tongs here? So what they did is they, same with the hammer, instead of sculpting it on, they really just flattened it out and then just edged the little bit there, right? So they brought this in. So see how this was empty here, and now it's all filled out with the hair? So they filled all this in to come all the way over there so they could like mash these into the fur. It's fine. It's definitely a different thing. I would have liked that to stand out maybe a bit more than it does, but it's still there, and as long as you paint it, it's okay, but it's a very, very thin detail now. Otherwise, everything else looks to be pretty close, about the same. In fact, well, no. So they defined this obviously a lot more than what it was. This was very faint. It's now a lot more noticeable. Yeah, okay, neat. Oh, they added some stuff on his boots too. So, see right here, smooth. See right here, they added some detail. Kind of interesting that they did that, but they did. So, some small, minor changes. Often, a lot of times they go back and forth in this kind of thing, right? So, all right, and then we have the fairy lady here. They actually did, so not only did they keep a lot of this separate, right? I don't know what this is. I'm not sure if it should be attached or not. Kind of interesting. In the details here, maybe a little soft where they connect. This is really nice. This one a little bit softer, but nothing too bad. I think this is supposed to be coming off of her, but then something changed. Let me get the original version. Where is she? Aha, okay. All right, let's compare. The detail on the wings, fantastic, by the way. Really, really good job there. This was pulled forward, right? So it's a little bit flatter on the Z-axis. So that's one thing that changed there. All right, so it is. Oh yeah, okay. So see how this is 3 pieces and 3 pieces. Well, they broke the connection there because it's a different piece now. But now it's like literally broken off of her. I'm not a huge fan of that. I would have rather have just omitted this, or worked on that connection maybe a little bit, because now I'm gonna have to like cut into that. The other thing I mentioned, and sure enough they did, just as I suspected. See all these, and I said they'd have to, because you can't put there, so they'll flatten them. That's exactly what they did, right? So all these things that are coming off here, just smash them down. Right, because if metal's in here, how are you gonna like pull it out, right? You gotta. I'm fine. This is why when I see stuff like this, I could look at a 3D render. And in fact, I do this often before they even get to this point, and I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. Like, go and adjust that. That's not how this technology works. You have to know what you're making, right? It's very important, and it's something that if you keep in mind, you can design it in a way to where it just naturally works, right? And it saves a lot of heartache. So anyway, totally fine. And this is also the problem where, like, if you had just rendered it like this, I wouldn't be disappointed, right? But now that I know it could have been this, like it's in my head, then I'm like, oh, that looks so much better to have a little like tube blank coming out. But that's fine. Okay. All right. So that goes there. It goes there. Last one, guys. Look at this guy. Huge. I'm going to zoom out slightly here, because otherwise he's going to be in the frame. All right. How fun is that? Massive, massive guy. I love his face, his like nose, like mustache, his like bottom jaws showing there. The horns, super cool. They're like asymmetrical. The shattering of rocks here, all overhanging. Very, very neat. The rope texture, fantastic. The links here, it's not a chain so much as a link. Very cool. Maybe some slightly soft edge there, nothing too bad. Shield's looking great. Again, those ropes look fantastic. He's got like spikes coming out of everywhere. Super cool. His giant weapon. See the little line there. I think this might actually be, I don't know, it's pretty thick. You can see a slight strain mark there from when I just did that, so just be aware of that. Mold line placed really well. Stuff in his beard, cool. Just a cool guy. Yeah. So, good luck. Where is she at? Good luck with that fight, guys. All right. Look, that was Bloodwork. It looks super cool. I've been impressed. They're definitely far along in terms of a lot of the cost already. Just to get to like this point, it's a lot of money. So they're definitely investing in this. And I hope that this speaks to an audience that really wants this kind of stuff again in their games, and that it's a style of game that a lot of people really, really like. So yeah, anyway, that's Bloodwork. I'm gonna go take a look at the rule book, some of the like campaign stuff. I'll let you know, and I'll get back to you on that. If you have any questions, comments, let me know in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much. For the rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.